I'm not sure how some of you feel about phablets, but I'm a big fan of them. The size, it's kind of advantageous in certain cases, but at MWC, I got a chance to check out one cool product that I was really eager to check out, and that's the Huawei MediaPad X2. Now this is a 7-inch tablet with the phone call functionality in tow. And it's nice because it's a really cool and premium build quality, and you get the full Android experience in just one package. So if you're looking for an interesting looking device that's gonna get a lot of attention, this might be it. Hey guys, John V from PhoneArena, and you're watching our video review of the Huawei MediaPad X2. From a smartphone point of view, it's a massive size thing, but for a tablet, it's super skinny and compact. And that's the nice thing about the Huawei MediaPad X2. It has a really nice premium design made mostly out of metal. It has a very nice, elegant look to it. And like I said, for a tablet, 7-inch tablet, they managed to trim off a lot of the fat. So it is pretty easy to hold with one hand for the most part, but still requires two-handed operation. But the greatest part about the design is just how it's so gigantic. And everywhere you go, if you put it down on a table, you put it up to your face for a phone call, it's something that gets noticed. And it's definitely a topic of conversation wherever you go. So what we have here with the Huawei MediaPad X2 is a 7-inch 1920 by 1200 IPS LCD display. And we gotta say, it has some nice looking crisp details thanks to its 323 pixels per inch pixel density count. Now the other aspects of the display, they're pleasant, but not really extraordinary. So for starters, you have a color temperature of 7277 Kelvin. So with that, it tends to exhibit a colder tone display, and you notice it with the color white just because it tends to have a bluish tinge. And as far as color reproduction, it's not the most accurate, but it's neither overblown or oversaturated as well. Topping things off, you have a maximum luminance of 524 nits, which is pretty good, ensuring that you'll be able to see it even in the brightest of days without any issues. Overall, it's a very detailed display, but besides that, it's pretty much neutral. Last time we checked, it's mid-2015 and Lollipop has been out for quite some time, but here with the MediaPad X2, it's running Android 4.4 KitKat, which is sad, honestly, just because you'd think that something new like this would be running the most up-to-date version of Android, but that's not the case here. Now it's running also an older build of Huawei's Emotion UI. It's version 2.0 as opposed to 3.0 that we've seen already in the P8. Now, we're not really fans of this particular interface just because they eliminate the apps panel and they put everything in the home screen. So it makes it a little bit disorganized with all the icons, and there's no way to arrange them alphabetically. On top of that, for a tablet, it doesn't really have any meaningful optimizations in the form of multitasking or taking advantage of the added real estate. You don't see apps, in landscape view that make use of the real estate for a tablet. Instead, what we have here is just a regular smartphone experience, just on a grander scale. We've seen faster things, but the tablet's performance is good enough. Now, it's powered by Huawei's very own octa-core Kirin 930 chip, which is based on 64-bit architecture, and that's accompanied with 3 GB of RAM and the Mali T628 GPU. Now for basic things, of course, it handles so you could go in and out of apps relatively quickly. Good operations, good speed, it's pretty instant. However though, when it comes to gaming, you don't have the smoothest results. Every now and then you might see some skip frames or a little bit of choppiness. Not bad, but that could be attributed to just the higher resolution of the screen. If you're that type of person that likes to take photos with their tablet, you'll be pleased by what the Huawei MediaPad X2 has to offer. It has a 13 megapixel rear camera with an LED flash, and around the front you have a 5 megapixel one. The camera app is very similar to the P8, so there's a good mixture of manual controls and shooting modes, and has a huge emphasis on low lighting photography, which is evident in things like the super night mode and even the various light painting modes it has to offer. So how about image quality? It's going to be good. It's actually very good when there's a lot of lighting. You get good strong details, sharp looking photos, good dynamic range, and great color representation. And even when you use the HDR mode, it does a nice job by balancing out the exposure in the entire scene, so you don't get too much of that artificial elements too in the process, like overblown colors or just a boost in contrast. Now, as far as low lighting photography is concerned, if you have it in the automatic mode, it's just prone to a lot of blurring because it takes a longer time to take a photo. So with that, you got to be very careful. And of course you see, you know, softer looking details, sometimes a little bit on the smudgy side. But if you use the super night mode, you could take some really nice shots because you could do it long exposure. So it absorbs a lot of light in the scenery and it maintains a good amount of the detail there, or sometimes even exposes more of the details that's otherwise lost. In addition, you'll have the cool light painting mode. So with the long exposure too, you'll be able to have some streak of light, you know, with the cars passing by, or you could write something in the air, and it just has a lot of cool things going on with low lighting photography. As far as video performance, it has only 1080p video at the max you could do. Now, while the still images can be impressive, the 1080p video quality is a little bit disappointing. Details can be murky at times, and there are other distracting elements that include hissy audio recording and a sensitive exposure. On top of the usual Google Play Music app, you could use Huawei's own music player as an alternative. It's decent, has a nice looking visuals and presentation. You could even read lyrics as the song is playing if you want to. Now, as far as the audio quality from its rear speaker, it produces a maximum output of 75.2 decibels. Now, unfortunately though, it sounds more on the flat side and lacks any sort of dynamic range. There is an option for a DTS mode, but that's something that's only available with the headphone jack. It's great for watching videos just because you have ample size real estate. The display for the most part has a little bit of a nice good iridescence going for it and plays videos, all sorts of videos very smoothly. It's just lacking the multitasking aspect, so you really can't watch a video and do something else at the same time. You can definitely make phone calls with this, and it's something that attracts a lot of attention. The moment you put it on your face, people are just gonna look and probably ask you if that is a phone you're using, just because it's not really too often you see someone putting a giant size thing against their head. But regardless of that, it gets the job done for phone calls. The earpiece is strong, voices have a good commanding presence to them. On the other hand, now the microphone though is placed a little bit further down than you'd normally find in a typical smartphone, so your voice sounds more distant than anything else. So basically you'll have to just move your mouth closer to the microphone as much as you can. Considering it's packing a humongous 5,000 milliamp hour battery, you can expect longer battery life than your traditional smartphone. Now, in day-to-day use, we get roughly 2 days use out of it, and that's from a full charge. In our battery benchmark test, it achieves a mark of 12 hours and 10 minutes, which is pretty respectable. And it's definitely up there. And the other good thing though, despite a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, it charges relatively quickly at 198 minutes, so it's not too long as you'd think. Well, there's no denying that the Huawei MediaPad X2 commands attention. It definitely attracts attention wherever you use it, and the sheer size alone makes it the topic of conversation wherever I went. Now, I use it as my daily driver for some time, and unfortunately though, the lack of optimizations to the software doesn't make it a very versatile device to use day in, day out. It didn't really make use of the added real estate, and basically what I had here was just the same smartphone experience I get in any other Android phone, but just on a bigger size screen. That's all. Now, I gotta give it credit though, because if you look on Amazon and check out pricing for the MediaPad X2, you get it for as low as $413, and that's the outright cost for an unlocked dual SIM device like this. And that's pretty valuable in my book. So if you guys want to learn more about the Huawei MediaPad X2, you can check out our website, PhoneArena.com. John V. Thanks for watching.